Sophia's announcement lingered in the air, turning the cozy warmth of our home into an unbearable chill. My mind raced, grasping for logic in her reckless decision. The woman I had vowed to cherish, the soon-to-be mother of my child, had just told me she was flying across the world with the one man who had always been a shadow between us. Ethan. His name alone stirred something ugly in my gut. He wasn't just an ex. He was the ex. The one she cried over during our early years together, the one she insisted was her first real love. Though she always reassured me I had nothing to worry about, I never fully believed it. A history that deep never truly fades. Yet, here she was, choosing him over reason. I leaned forward, trying to keep my voice steady. Sophia, listen to yourself. You're pregnant. An international trip isn't safe. She sighed, rubbing her temples. I've already spoken to my doctor. She said it's fine as long as I take precautions. That's not the point, and you know it. Her eyes flickered, annoyance creeping in. Liam, this is important to me. More important than us? A beat of silence, a hesitation. Then, I just need space. My chest tightened. Space? Since when did we need space? We were supposed to be preparing for our baby's arrival together, not drifting apart. My gaze hardened. And Ethan, where does he fit into this space you suddenly need? Her lips parted, but no words came. Instead, she looked away, focusing on an invisible spot on the wall. That was my answer. That night, sleep evaded me. Sophia lay beside me, breathing steadily, her body warm against mine. But she felt miles away. I stared at the ceiling, memories flooding back. Years ago, I had asked about Ethan, about why they ended. She had laughed, brushing it off as young love that fizzled out. But every time his name came up, something flickered in her expression. Nostalgia, regret, maybe even longing. I should have pushed harder back then, should have seen this coming. A notification lit up her phone on the nightstand. A text. Temptation clawed at me. I had never invaded her privacy before, but right now my gut screamed for answers. Hands trembling, I reached for the device. The screen glowed, revealing a message from an unsaved number. Ethan, can't wait to see you. Feels like fate brought us back together. A cold shiver ran down my spine. Fate? My grip tightened, fury pulsing in my veins. I turned to Sophia. She stirred slightly, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. This wasn't just a trip. This wasn't just a reunion. This was something else. Something she hadn't told me. And I was going to find out exactly what it was. Morning came with forced smiles and tension thick enough to choke on. Sophia moved around the house, humming softly as she packed, acting as if nothing was wrong, as if she wasn't preparing to fly off with another man. I sat at the kitchen table, watching in disbelief. So, that's it? You're really going? She zipped her suitcase with a sharp tug. Liam, I've already told you. I need this. You need him. She froze. For the first time, guilt flashed in her eyes. I stood, chair scraping against the floor. At least be honest with me. I am, she said, voice quieter now. No, you're not, I shot back. Because if this was really just about a trip, you wouldn't be sneaking around. You wouldn't be texting him things like, fate brought us back together. Her breath hitched, busted. She opened her mouth, then shut it. A war raged inside her, but she still clung to her facade. You checked my phone, I scoffed. That's what you're upset about? Not the fact that you're emotionally cheating on me while carrying my child. She turned away, gripping the edge of the dresser. Liam, I swear I haven't done anything. Yet. Silence. Her hands trembled. She knew I was right. I stepped closer. You can still stop this, Sophia. You don't have to go. Tears welled in her eyes. For a second, I thought she would say something different, that she would choose me. Instead, she whispered, "I need to figure things out." Pain shot through me, raw and unbearable. She had already chosen, and it wasn't me. Departure hours later, I drove her to the airport in silence. Each mile felt heavier, the weight of her betrayal suffocating. At the terminal, she turned to me, hesitant. "I love you, Liam." I swallowed the bitterness rising in my throat. Not enough. Her expression crumbled, but she said nothing. Then she walked away, suitcase rolling behind her, heading toward a man who should have stayed in the past. I sat there long after she disappeared, hands gripping the steering wheel, heart pounding with the truth I could no longer ignore. My wife was leaving, and she might never come back the same. The moment Sophia disappeared through airport security, I knew something between us had snapped. Trust, gone. The foundation of our marriage, cracked beyond repair. I sat in the car, gripping the wheel, my mind churning with a storm of emotions, anger, betrayal, disbelief. My pregnant wife had just left for another country with her ex-boyfriend. That sentence alone should have been enough to make me walk away. Yet I wasn't ready. Not yet. That night, sleep eluded me. Every time I closed my eyes, I pictured them together, laughing over candlelit dinners, strolling through Parisian streets, rekindling whatever flame had once burned between them. My hands clenched into fists. I refused to be that husband, the one who sat back while his wife indulged in some twisted fantasy. I needed proof. 3 days passed, each one more excruciating than the last. Sophia's messages were sparse, short, distant responses that did nothing to ease my growing suspicions. Then, on the third night, my phone buzzed. A message from Olivia, one of Sophia's close friends. "Olivia, hey, I wasn't sure if I should say anything, but you deserve to know." My heart pounded. "Know what?" A pause. Then another message came through. "Olivia, she didn't go with a group. It's just her and Ethan." I stared at the screen, the weight of confirmation hitting me like a freight train. I should have been shocked, should have felt some last sliver of hope shatter. But deep down, I already knew. Me. "Are you sure?" Her reply was instant. "Olivia, I saw the texts, Liam. She told me not to tell you." Bile rose in my throat. Sophia hadn't just lied. She had planned this. Shoving aside hesitation, I logged into our shared cloud storage. Over the years, we had synced our devices, a habit born out of convenience. I had never felt the need to check before, until now. Photos loaded onto the screen. My breath hitched. Sophia and Ethan side by side at a cafe, their faces glowing under dim lighting. A picture of them standing by the Eiffel Tower, her hand on his chest. A shot taken inside what looked like a luxury hotel room, 2 glasses of wine on the table. My stomach twisted. This wasn't a reunion. This was an affair unfolding in real time. Fury surged through me, so powerful it nearly blinded me. How dare she? How could she throw away everything we built, our life, our future child, just to relive a fantasy with a man who had already left her once? I needed answers. Dialing her number, I clenched my jaw, waiting. After 3 rings, she picked up. "Liam?" Her voice was hesitant. I didn't bother with pleasantries. "Having fun." A pause. "What are you talking about?" I laughed coldly. "You and Ethan. The little getaway you swore was just a friendly trip. Do you even realize how pathetic your lies sound?" Silence. Then a shaky breath. "Who told you?" I ignored the question. "You didn't even have the decency to end things first. You just ran into his arms like I never existed." "Liam, it's not like that," she pleaded. "I needed closure." "Closure," I repeated, voice dripping with venom. "So closure involves hotel rooms, candlelit dinners, and secret texts?" She didn't answer. That was all I needed. The woman I loved, the mother of my unborn child, had betrayed me. I exhaled sharply. You know what? Stay there, Sophia. Stay with him, because when you come back, don't expect to find me waiting. Her voice broke. Liam, please. I ended the call. Let her feel it. Let her know what it was like to lose something she took for granted. But I wasn't done yet. My next move. I refused to be the fool in this story. If she wanted to play dirty, I'd show her just how ruthless I could be. First, I contacted a lawyer. I wanted to know my options about divorce, custody, assets. I wasn't going to let her walk away unscathed. Then I made another call to a private investigator. If she thought her little secret rendezvous would stay buried, she was dead wrong. By the time she came home, I'd be ready. I'd be waiting. And this time it wouldn't be with open arms. Days passed, each moment feeding the fire inside me. Sophia remained overseas with Ethan, basking in her stolen moments while I crafted my revenge. Every ounce of love I once had for her had turned to something colder, sharper, something that demanded justice. I refused to be the man left behind. The private investigator worked fast, feeding me everything I needed. Photos, locations, even a video of them entering a luxury hotel suite, together. That was the final nail in the coffin. Sophia had made her choice. Now it was my turn. I met with my lawyer, Jacob Carter, a ruthless divorce attorney who had seen it all. He wasted no time. You have enough evidence to bury her in court, he said, flipping through the documents. Adultery, deception, abandonment. Judges don't take kindly to that, especially with a child involved. I leaned forward. I don't want her just to lose the house or money. I want full custody. Jacob nodded. With proof that she prioritized an affair over her responsibilities as a mother, we have a strong case. The thought of raising my child alone stung, but I refused to let Sophia play mother whenever it suited her. She had walked away. Now I'd make sure she understood what that cost. The message that changed everything. The night before her return, my phone buzzed. Sophia. Her name on my screen made my stomach churn. For a second, I considered ignoring it. But then an idea struck. I answered. Liam, she breathed as if relieved. I need to talk to you. I stayed silent. She hesitated before continuing. I know I hurt you, and I'm sorry, but You love him, I finished for her, voice devoid of emotion. She sucked in a sharp breath. I don't know. It's complicated. Not for me, I said coolly. You made your choice. More silence. Then, Liam, please, let's talk when I get back. I don't want to lose you. I nearly laughed at the audacity. Now she didn't want to lose me. I let the silence stretch before responding. See you soon, Sophia. Then I hung up. She had no idea what was waiting for her. The airport was busy, but I spotted her instantly. Sophia walked through the terminal, dragging her suitcase behind her. She looked different. Guilt was written all over her face. Ethan wasn't with her. She was alone. Good. She smiled hesitantly when she saw me. Liam, I didn't return it. Let's go home, I said, turning toward the exit. She followed, shifting uncomfortably. She knew something was off. The drive home was silent. Her fingers twisted in her lap, her lips parted like she wanted to say something, but she didn't. She could feel the shift. She just didn't know how deep it went. The moment we stepped inside the house, I turned to face her. You lied to me. My voice was calm, but it carried weight. Her eyes widened. Liam, I pulled out my phone, swiping through the photos. You really thought I wouldn't find out? Her face drained of color. You slept with him, I stated, letting the words settle between us. She shook her head rapidly. No, I swear it wasn't like that. I tossed my phone onto the table. Don't insult me, Sophia. Tears welled in her eyes. I made a mistake, Liam. I was confused and— You weren't confused, I interrupted. You were selfish. She sobbed, collapsing onto the couch. Please, don't do this. I still love you. I scoffed. Love? You threw that away the moment you stepped onto that plane. She buried her face in her hands. I don't want to lose our family. I clenched my jaw. You lost that the second you chose him over us. Then I handed her the divorce papers. Her hands shook as she took them. Liam, sign them, I said coldly. She looked at me, eyes pleading. But I had nothing left to give. Sophia had destroyed everything. And now she had to live with it. Sophia sat frozen, staring at the divorce papers in her trembling hands. The weight of her betrayal had finally crashed down on her, but it was too late. Tears streaked her face. Liam, please, we can fix this. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching her unravel. She wasn't crying because she regretted the affair. She was crying because she got caught. Because her perfect little fantasy had come crashing down, and now she was facing the consequences. You had your chance, I said, voice cold. You ignored every warning. You chose him. Her body shook with sobs. I was lost, Liam. I cut her off. Don't insult me with excuses. You weren't lost. You were exactly where you wanted to be. She squeezed her eyes shut. I don't want to lose our family. I exhaled sharply. You lost it the moment you stepped into that hotel room with him. Her lips parted, but no words came out. She knew I was right. I walked over, pulling out a second envelope from my pocket. These are my custody filings. I want full custody of our child. Sophia's head snapped up. No, you can't take our baby from me. I met her panicked gaze. I will. She tried to stand, but her legs gave out. Liam, I made a mistake. That doesn't mean I don't love our child. I clenched my fists. If you loved us, you wouldn't have left. Her breath hitched. The silence stretched between us, suffocating. Then she whispered, What if I refuse to sign? I smirked, pulling out my phone. Then we take this to court, and when they see these— I tapped the screen, bringing up the photos of her and Ethan. They'll know exactly what kind of mother you are. Her shoulders slumped in defeat. The fight drained out of her. She reached for the pen with shaking fingers and pressed it against the paper. For a moment she hesitated. Then, slowly, she signed her name. A single signature that sealed her fate. The aftermath, I filed the divorce immediately. It was swift, brutal, and left her with nothing. Sophia tried reaching out after that, pleading, apologizing, even promising that she'd never see Ethan again. I never responded. She had already made her choice. As for Ethan, his little affair cost him everything too. His fiancée found out and left him, his job took a hit, and he was left with nothing but a broken woman who had burned every bridge in her life. I moved forward. I focused on my child, on building a life free from lies and betrayal. And when Sophia finally realized she had lost everything, it was far too late. She had ignored my warnings, and now she had to live with the consequences. The end.